Hey everybody, and welcome to Meals with Melissa, where we come up with healthy options of the things that you love to eat. Now, one of the things that most of you probably think you have to give up is Taco Tuesday, because of course, you know, tortillas, and no, who doesn't love a good tortilla? But guess what tortillas turn into as soon as you eat them? That's right, glucose. So, you know, if you're trying to avoid gluten, if you're trying to eat a little bit healthier, you might need to be a little lower carb, and this is a great option for that. Now, of course, with all recipes that we do, make sure that you plug it into MyFitnessPal. Check to see that it meets your macros and for what your goals are. So, super, super easy. Really what takes the longest is just the oven baking it, and I do have the oven preset at 350, and it's preheated, and I've already done some prep work so that it makes it super, super simple, super fast, and we can just throw it all together. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take a pound of ground turkey or ground beef preferably grass-fed. And I know that's a huge issue for a lot of people. You know, you've probably heard that red meat is bad for you, and that is incorrect. The problem is that all these tests and research that they're doing, they show they don't do the details, right? They just look at the overall issue. Remember that you eat what you eats. So if you are eating a grain-fed, grain-finished cow, yeah, that might become a problem because now you're eating grain and corn and all kinds of garbage. So, of course, grass-fed is best, but you get to choose what you're going to eat. You know, just start with good, then work on optimal. This is 4% ground beef. Again, you can choose what the fat content is to meet your macros. I browned that up. I've added some taco seasoning. Really quick, I want to talk to you about taco seasoning because that can also be a problem. Here's the issue. When we think we're eating healthy in today's day and age, the problem is most of what's on the shelf is probably not good for you. And I know that you say, well, you know, just moderation. Yeah, moderation has given us metabolic diseases. So you're gonna have to be really careful. Know that even your taco seasoning can actually, if you read the ingredient list, contains sugar and other things you don't really want in your system. So commercially made taco seasoning, not your best option. It is what I use today because it's what I have on hand, but you can make your own mix. So keep that in mind. Do it ahead, put it away, you have it good to go. All right, so I've already made the ground beef and added the taco seasoning and let it simmer, so that part is good to go. Now, in a bowl, I'm actually going to add 4 large eggs. Now, most of our eggs we actually get right here in town from a local farmer who raises chickens, and I'm gonna tell you, it is a totally different ballgame when you get eggs directly from the chicken. You don't even have to refrigerate them, which I know sounds really strange, but as long as you don't wash them, there's a protective coating on it that keeps them good and keeps them from spoiling as long as they're not in extreme heat. Second best, these are the organic blah, blah, blah omega-3 eggs, you know, whatever the pasture-raised option is from Costco. I do have some of the other on hand, but I saved those for my breakfast because they're so good. All right, so I'm gonna do 4 eggs, and I'm gonna add 2/3 cup of heavy cream. And again, best option would be grass-fed. May not be available in your area, so I'm very aware of that. Just do the best you can. Again, sometimes you just have to start with eating better and then get to the point where you work for optimal. All right, so I'm gonna add my 2/3 cup of heavy cream. I'm gonna whisk that together. Matter of fact, I'm gonna use myself a little rubber scraper here. Again, I love eggs, so I really feel for you if you are someone who cannot do eggs. I know that there are some people with sensitivities and intolerances to egg products, so I understand. I have my theories as to why that is, because I've done some research, but that is a topic for another day. Okay, so I'm gonna whisk those together just a little bit. I'm gonna whisk. Okay, now, this calls for a 9-inch glass pie dish. I know I have one somewhere. Do I know where it is? No, spent about 20 minutes looking for it. Cannot find it. So I did use something relatively similar. I'm actually using, I think it's a 9 or a 10-inch glass tart, or ceramic tart pan. So we're just gonna use that today. It worked out just fine. I cooked it at the minimum requirement for this. Okay, so to this I'm going to add 3 finely sliced green onions. I love onions, so that's never a problem. I'm also going to add 1/4 cup salsa. Now on this salsa, guys, watch your sugars, because again, the food industry loves to add sugar wherever they can because that makes you want more, right? So just pay attention to the ingredient list on the products that you eat. I'm also going to add 1/4 teaspoon, let me see if I can find my measurement, actually a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We use Himalayan pink. 1/2 teaspoon. Look how easy this is. I'm just gonna mix it up and throw it in the tin. All right, and I'm also gonna use 3/4 cup of already shredded Mexican blend cheese. Now, again, better option is to grate your own, and please do not use cheese products. Use actual cheese. Cheese products, yeah, again, the more processed a product is, the less healthy for you it is. Cheese is actually not really a bad thing unless you are highly intolerant to dairy or really trying to stay low dairy. We actually do a little bit of cheese at my house. You just have to, again, make sure that you pay attention to your macros. Now, some of you might be saying, yes, but it has saturated fat. You've been lied to about saturated fats. Saturated fats aren't necessarily bad for you. Okay, so to that, I am going to now add about a pound of ground beef. Now, I actually made a batch when I made this, so I could make two sets, one to show you here in just a sec. So I'm gonna add about a pound of that to my mix, and I'm gonna pour it in my tin, and literally that's it. That's all you do, and bake it, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix this up, and I'm gonna show you what it's gonna look like since I only have one ceramic tart tin. Oh my, the fun of living in a house where you put things away and cannot find them. Yeah, someday, maybe someday, I'll be able to find where everything is. Okay, so I'm gonna mix that up. That's all it looks like. I'm actually gonna pour it into, now if you have a 9-inch glass pan, I would recommend you either spray it or maybe even wipe it with some coconut oil to make sure that this doesn't stick. But let me show you what the end product is going to look like. Fantastic. And I love tacos. So if you're like me, this is a great alternative. Make your own takeaway with you. I have to tell you, I have taken more meals into restaurants in my probably last 10 years of my life. They look at me funny, and some restaurants do prevent me from doing that. But most of the time, if I order a salad or something from them and I have my own food and tell them what I'm doing, most of the time they don't have a problem with that. All right, so here is the finished product. Good, it's not too hot. Yeah, it's a little hot. Gonna use my mitts. All right. Actually turned out super great. You're going to, at 350, cook it for about 35 to 45 minutes. Again, because my tart pan here, my tart shell thing, whatever you want to call this, is a little shallow. I checked it right at 35 minutes, and honestly, it was completely ready to go. So you can top that with the extra cheese. Let it melt a little bit on top. Now, of course, we'll put some on top before we cooked it, so it is already melted onto the top. But you can also add some sour cream, some guacamole or avocado, a little more salsa, whatever your heart desires. Again, just make sure that it fits your macros. And macros just means it fits your goals. It doesn't have to be, I have people all the time tell me, hey, that's a lot of work. Yeah, you can't manage what you don't track. So in the beginning, you don't have to do it forever, but just until you realize how much it is that your body really needs and how to get to your goal, then you can kind of eyeball it unless you get a little off track. So anyway, here's how you take care of Taco Tuesday. Make your own. It's great. Have friends over, play cards, serve it to them. I'm sure they'll love it. Have an incredible weekend, you guys. I will be placing the recipe down below so that you can check it out when you have a moment. Make it yourself. Let me know how it turns out. Do you love it? Did you add something that makes it even better? Maybe you use sausage, because chicken sausage is amazing. Or if you have a great recipe you want to share with us all, please pass it along. We want to help everybody live the healthiest life they possibly can. So until next week, that is Meals with Melissa. Have an incredible weekend. We'll see you soon.